Cool. Hello, everybody. I'm Jamie, and this is Paul. You all know Paul Sweeney. Hopefully you do. If you've seen the channel before, Paul recently sold out of his very awesome Elvis book, and he's been a presence in the Elvis world for. Sorry, I'm still getting used to what I'm supposed to be looking at. The he's had a presence in the Elvis world with Paul's Elvis page and with Candid Central, which is very cool. And so today, John is well. John will be along as soon as he's able to be. But wanted to take a moment and say, everybody, thank you for checking out the channel. I'm just going to do a real quick test to make sure that we are absolutely running live and like we should be. We should be. And let's see. Yes, according to this, let's see. Well, after YouTube asks me to answer something. Good. Yep, we're live. Great. That's fantastic. So just want to say, everybody, thank you so much for checking out the channel. The Elvis Archival Preservation Society, the whole point is this is your society, our society, the EAP Society, and we don't want Elvis history to be lost to history. And we have a lot of really great history to talk about today, especially with our friend Paul Sweeney. And so when you get a chance, I am in the process of revamping the EAP Society main page. So that way Paul's page is even easier to find and to get to, which because I want for people to go to EAP Society and be able to click to directly go to your page.
That's appreciated.
And, oh, absolutely. And people, when did you start Candid Central? Just to get into it.
1993.
93.
So a couple of years ago.
Couple years ago. Yep.
You were a mere child.
I think we're all still mere children.
93 is what? How many years ago was that? That's 32 years ago?
Yes.
I was in my early 30s as opposed to my mid 60s now, or whatever it is.
It is crazy, like just how much everything has changed in the Elvis world, and it's wild. But we're gonna go through and we're gonna look at all of the different things that people are saying in the live chat. But before we get to any of that, just wanted to say we have a major Elvis history preservation announcement that we made on the August 15th, but I've got the video ready. It's going to be hitting this Friday with Fred Hubry and George DeYoung. This is a massive project, and I'm going to actually make that a premiere thing. So please share that around to everybody that you can, because this is going to take 3 years of our lives, if not more. There is so much information in here. I cannot wait to tell you all about that. Okay, so Paul, you've been, you've had Candid Central since 93. You and I have talked on the channel about how you became an Elvis fan and how you got involved in like finding pictures and everything else. And your book, as I said before, is absolutely gorgeous and lovely and is now sold out.
Yes.
And maybe depending on the rights and all that kind of stuff down the road, if the secondhand prices go crazy, maybe sometime we can all work on a small reprinting if there's a way to do that. But
all things are possible.
Exactly. Yeah. And now I have only believe in my head.
There you go.
Anyway, so the big thing that we want to talk about today, I am incredibly jealous of Paul because he has gotten to see Epic, and he got invited to the after party and got to talk with Baz, and that's phenomenal. And I want to get your impressions and about the entire experience. First off, tell folks about the Toronto International Film Festival.
Well, it's in its 50th year, and it's one of the the renowned film festivals of the world. You have festivals all over the place. You have Venice as an example, and you have Toronto and various other locations throughout North America and Europe. And it's been around, as I said, for 50 years. Baz has been here before,
Mhm.
30 some years ago. I believe Strictly Ballroom premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival, and Epic just premiered on Saturday, September the 6th. And I must say, I must thank, because I was in the audience at Conversations on Elvis on August 15th in Memphis,
Yeah.
and I was there primarily to see Peter Grolnick. But before Peter spoke, there were other speakers, and one of them was Joel Weinschenker, who everyone knows. And Joel asked if there were any Canadians in the audience, and maybe 8, 10 of us put our hands up. There were not a lot. One of the people beside me was Canadian. He said, "All right, for those of you that are Canadian, if you email me at joel@graceland.com, I will do my best to get you tickets to the premiere in Toronto for Epic." So I looked at her and I said, "Email him now, don't wait."
Yeah.
So, which I did do. I emailed him immediately as he was speaking and made reference to that when I sent it to him. And he acknowledged receipt of the email a couple of days later. And we had a couple of exchanges back and forth. And one of them, I must say, he responded to my email within 1 minute.
Wow.
So I thank him for that. And the tickets came through. And we were able to go to the premiere.
Beautiful.
The after party was not in my playing cards, and I had no idea about it until we were actually in the theater that was going to happen, and I can tell you about that after. So,
Yeah, yeah, I wanna kinda take it through, like, piece by piece, and then I
hmm
wanna talk about, we got a lot of response. Uh, John and I filmed, an episode talking about, Baz and the movie going to be at TIFF. We had a
yeah,
lot less information about
I
distribution
saw
and
that.
the way
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
that was gonna work at the time, and seeing the responses actually told me I'm gonna make a separate video because this live
yeah.
stream will likely, will likely go for a couple of hours. I mean, you don't have to be here for all of that if you don't want to, but or if you can't be. But I'm gonna make a video talking about just how important this movie is, and I think a lot of Elvis fans misunderstand where we are in the grand scheme of things when it comes to um, having to show the movie companies and some of these places the buying power of Elvis fans in a cinematic format
Yeah,
because we're used to dealing with Sony, and Sony is a very different ball of wax. Uh, well, we all know Ernst Jorgensen. Sony has a department whose job it is to sell things directly to us, whereas movie companies and things, Warner Brothers, for instance, just made a Superman movie and made $600 million. Like I don't know if FTD has seen $600 million in its entire tenure, maybe across its entire tenure.
yeah.
So, like the levels, the economies of scale that we're talking about are very different things. Um, but we're setting all that aside. We'll get to that later because I do think it's important, but we're gonna push that off until after. I'm excited. So, what was the vibe going in to TIFF? Was there anybody like uh, was there anyone associated with the project that was around as you were going in before it started?
I know I didn't see anybody before it started as we were going in. It was only once I got in the theater that I saw people from EPE/Graceland that were there. Angie
Yeah.
Marchese was there. Alicia Dean was there. Joel Weinschenker was there. And I went up and personally thanked him for the ticket because when I saw him there, I just went up and say thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Um, and the capacity of that theater is 1,700, and it was sold out. It was full to the brim, and
Wow.
there were people who were excited. People
Yeah.
were, you could just feel the anticipation. And
Yeah.
I was there with my wife, who is appreciates Elvis, but is not a big fan. But once that movie was done, she goes, "I think I'm a fan." She goes, "This was incredible." She goes, the just the visually audio, the sound was incredible." And she goes, "My God, he looked good." and and
That's cool. That's
yeah.
I appreciate you mentioning that because as soon as you said that she's not like a, a mega fan, I thought, oh, I need to see the before. I need to talk to you about the before and after. So I'm glad that yeah, your mind went there before my mouth could. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about it. Like, generally speaking, we are going to like it. I mean, you should. If you don't, well, maybe you're not a full Elvis fan. But my thought was this should appeal to people who aren't fans. It's because a lot of the people in the audience. I mean, not everyone at TIFF in that audience was an Elvis fan. I would say
Right.
maybe 40-50%, but there was 50% of the people there that were just film buffs. And a lot of
Cool.
them came out, and you could did a little Instagram posts and stuff afterwards saying that they really, really enjoyed the movie. They thought it was great. And you want to make sure that it's something that's going to appeal to the general public as well.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
think it
yeah,
will do that 100%.
that's really cool. And I think that, um, it took me a while, even on the audio side, to get to the point of understanding that, um, well, I was always upset with the classic album series because I wanted the complete sessions. Now that we're getting almost complete sessions, which rubs me the wrong way, of course. Once now that we're getting like more session type releases, I go back and I have much more of an appreciation for the compilations and the classic albums
Hmm.
for their own market. I see them as different markets, um, and this is one of those things where it's kind of like the platinum box set in a sense, but for video. In that this is like the 50s masters and 60s masters and 70s masters recontextualized Elvis in for the market of the time to speak to the buyers of the time, right?
Right.
Because I remember, and you can attest to this as well. There have been Elvis fans, or there have been not Elvis fans, but also Elvis fans who, for a long time, didn't like any of the movies, didn't like anything besides the 50s. Like, and
Hmm.
everybody's got their own taste, and that's fine.
Sure.
But when there's a when there's less of an appreciation in general for large swaths of Elvis's life, other than like a few key moments, and then box sets and things like that come out, and they expand people's thinking, and they bring more people in, and give people what a taste of Elvis in a way that they haven't seen it before, to kind of shake up their brain and go, oh, I get, kind of like you were saying, oh, I get it now, right? And but I'm so excited to see this thing. So the uh just thinking about the film, like, I mean, you gave some of your general impressions. What were some key standout moments for you?
Well, I mean, a couple things. I'll just sort of speak generally first, and then I'll go into some specific songs. So,
Perfect.
visually, it was stunning. There is a very small snippet of Hawaii in 1957 in the gold lame suit,
Yeah,
um, which we've seen a bit of. They've teased us with that. Not a lot, and no sound, obviously, with that. It was
sure.
recorded with that. And 2 points. The 1970 footage was filmed on 35 millimeter, and the 1972 Elvis on Tour was filmed on 16 millimeter, which doesn't look as good.
Right.
But the 1970 footage looked great because you're working with 35 millimeter, and they're working with Peter Jackson's team, who did the Let It Be Beatles series on Apple TV. So, and they, how good they made that look. Well, they've done that with Epic. And the thing that impressed me the most, as far as visually, was the 1972 footage. Looked incredible, considering it was filmed on 16 millimeter. It just looked great. The rehearsals, the on stage, the backstage, it just all of it looked fantastic. Um, and the sound, now that I've had it, yeah, I mean, so there, when you're in the theater and you're listening, it's hard to determine, okay, is there anything that's been done to enhance this, or is it any extra instruments have been added? So there's a couple of interviews that have come out afterwards with Baz and Jonathan Redman, his editor, and I spoke to both of them at the after party, and I'll talk about that after.
Hmm.
um, but all of the vocals and all of the, like, Ronnie Tutt and Jerry Sheff and James Burton and Glenn Harden, all of what you hear as far as those instruments are concerned are them.
Okay.
There was one point where Baz says he mentioned in there was some of the orchestra wasn't fully just didn't sound. The sound wasn't there, and some of that they have they have used an additional orchestra for a couple of the bigger tunes. But generally
Okay.
speaking, he says when you hear all the vocals, he said it's all Elvis. He says, and
Yeah.
we had just the vocals were isolated. He says, and we listened to just Elvis. He says, and his vocals were incredible. He was on key and just sounding great and belting things out. And they spent 2 years putting that all together with the audio from what was on film and various sources in with his voice to make it to sync things up.
Yeah.
And that took them 2 years. And keep in mind that they worked a lot with 59 hours of footage. 59
Yeah.
hours. And this started 8 years ago when they started working on the Elvis movie,
Hmm.
one that came out 3 years ago.
Yep.
And he thought he was going to use more of the Elvis footage in that movie, and he didn't. And normally for a director, once they're done that project, they go on to something else. They're going to do a new project. But
Yeah.
he's gone and done another Elvis project, and because he just sort of he said, I felt that I had to continue working on this. He goes, because the fans were, driving me nuts. He didn't say driving me crazy, but he says the fans were very adamant that they wanted this footage. I
Yep.
know they want the footage. I hear about it daily. And both Jonathan and Baz said the same thing. The fans don't let them forget that they want this footage.
That's
And one
good.
of the things, and in the movie itself too, we may be jumping all over the place here a little bit, but one of the things
No,
is
that's
they
that's
they
fine.
have
Whatever flow of inspiration you feel in
yeah,
this,
they
that's all
have
good.
full songs, but not a lot of full songs in the movie.
Okay.
3 or 4, and they have a lot of shorter, like snippets of certain songs.
Okay.
And when I was talking to the editor, to Jonathan, about that, he said, "Look, he says we had 59 hours to work with, and we needed to, try and put as much of it out there as we wanted to. That sort of worked sonically and sort of gave the punch we wanted or needed
Yeah.
for the documentary." He goes, I know the fans want to see full versions of these, and he says, and our goal is to get those full versions out there, more than likely on a Blu-ray with the extended items. He goes, and we do have both him and Baz mentioned this more than once over the last few days. We do have one of the full Hampton Road shows, the in the
Right.
blue suit, and they did use a fair number of clips from that particular concert in Epic, and it,
Cool.
like I said, sounded stunning and looked amazing.
Yeah.
So they are very aware of what the fans want. And one thing for those fans out there that might have footage from Las Vegas or footage from Elvis on tour that somehow disappeared from the salt mines, and we all know some of it has disappeared and is in other hands. They are
Right.
willing to talk. They are willing to talk to you, John. If you reach out to Jonathan Redman on Instagram, he will talk. If you have the footage, they're willing to work with you to, so they can use it and get. They'd like to have everything if they can, and they're more than willing to, to look for that. So you can
That's
reach out to
beautiful.
Jonathan on Instagram. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, that's cool. Give the name one more time.
Jonathan Redman.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's important, and that's that shows a
Academy
level of
Award nominated
dedication that
Jonathan Redman, I
even.
should say. Sorry,
What's that?
Academy Award nominated Jonathan Redman. So
There you go. Yeah.
he was
The
nominated for the sound on the Elvis movie,
Oh, that's right.
or
Yep.
editing. Excuse
Yep.
me, editing. Excuse me.
Hmm. Yeah. I knew that he'd been nominated. I was kind of blanking on the rest. So
Yeah,
but yeah, well, and that's good that as somebody I'm just kind of looking at the folks in the comment section. Yeah, so like Hampton Roads, yeah, pretty much complete, and that's really cool. Or they Okay, so you were saying like there were a few complete performances and a lot of like snippets of various things, and
yeah,
this is all in the service of telling the story that
yeah.
right.
And they also jump between 70 and 72. So sometimes you would see something from 1970 and then 72, and then we'd go back to 70 and vice. So it wasn't like chronological from 70 to 72, but
Okay.
it worked quite nicely. And I mean, there's stuff from, remember the lost performances. So some of that rehearsal stuff that
Yeah.
we had that on a VHS. I don't know how many years ago. There is that footage. Some of that footage is there.
Okay.
Something and Yesterday are there. A Fool Such as I, which I'm not sure if was that on the Lost Performances, but it's in
I
beautiful
believe it.
quality.
Yes. Yeah.
Runaway, which we've never seen before from rehearsals.
Yep.
That was quite nice to see. There was a Bridge Over Troubled Water, backstage or before the Vegas shows, rehearsals at the International.
Hmm.
You Don't Have to Say You Love Me was an international rehearsal. Oh Happy Day. Now the Oh Happy Day, that's slightly longer than what we saw on the trailer back when that came out a month or so ago. And that one it looks amazing. Elvis's voice is great. And before anything we saw, the footage we saw of that was the band, the sound was not very good at all. And right now, this is one I'm thinking maybe they used more, but they punched that one up with an orchestra there or music, because that one
Right.
sounds incredible.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take away from it at all. It's a
Mm.
fun to watch. I love that song, and
Oh, yeah. Well,
it's
and
great to
like
watch.
I'd said before, I said I inserted this into the Baz video that John and I did because before when we recorded that, that hadn't been teased yet, and I basically said, I'm not going to hate on that happening in a film like this because
Hmm.
this is a mass market product. Like
Yeah.
it's uh because you want that to hit with everything that it can, and like we as collectors and we as Elvis fans have a lot more um for lack of a better word, stomach for varying audio qualities of things because it's what we're used to and we know that's what is out there. But the general public needs to have that first punch, and then they get into it,
Hmm.
and then they go back and they say, "Oh, hey, by the way, this isn't the original. This is the original audio, and this is
Yeah.
the that kind of thing."
Well, I
So
remember back in
for
the day, 100 years ago. Sorry to, remember we
no,
used to
you're
get
fine.
cassettes of live shows, and some of those
Yeah,
were painful to listen to because you could barely hear anything. Some were great, but
yeah.
others were like, "Is this really? What the hell is this?" So
Right, you can't even you don't even really quite know what you're listening to. No,
yeah,
I
yeah,
get it.
yeah, exactly,
Um,
exactly.
so yeah, let's see. Tall man. My question is there footage of Elvis singing "Near My God to Thee, I Shall Be Released"?
Near My
I
God to Thee, yes.
okay,
That's backstage, around the piano, new footage, back in March of '72. Again, really great quality, and yeah, there is a little bit of that in the movie for sure, 100%.
beautiful. That's cool. Now, and one of the things that we kind of talked about is John and I have been kind of brainstorming over, you know, well, no, actually, I should table that until we get a little bit later because that's after the. I want to hear about your experiences first before I get into all my stuff. Um, so the what was the experience like in the room? Like what? Yeah,
That was because, so you're watching the live performances, and people on the film are clapping because they're filming in Vegas and filming on tour, but the audience was also clapping along, and sometimes they were just excited. People, they were clapping after songs. People were dancing. The At the end of it, it was like everyone jumped to their feet. It was like a standing ovation. It was people just were seemed you could there was an electricity in the room. It was hard to describe. It was like you're at a concert.
yeah,
It was, and I've seen documentaries on various artists, and I'm a huge Springsteen fan. I just watched the one on Billy Joel, and I'm looking forward to the John Candy one. I'm not a performer, but the John Candy documentary, I want to see that, which also premiered at TIFF a couple of days before Epic. Um, but there was just an electricity in the room. People were really excited, and they were. I mean, besides clapping, people were yelling out and cheering, and it was. And I'm sure some of the non-Elvis fans that were there thought, what do we got ourselves into here? By the way, when we went in to the theater, they gave out gold glasses to everybody. I mean, not gold, plastic gold glasses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Now did they have the EP in the middle, or were they just like the standard?
no, they didn't have the EP in the middle. I have a
Okay.
they're somewhere in the another room here. I think they're in the spare bedroom, but um, yeah. So they gave those out to everybody, and some people were wearing. There were people. There was one young lady dressed up in a rose gold lame suit with
Huh.
big heels and hair done up, and ended up actually afterwards. She was the DJ at the after party. She was there at the
Oh,
yeah,
that's cool.
and she's very good. She was very good at the after party with the music, but that's a different time, different
Yeah,
story.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So now I know that because I watched Baz's comments before and after, and it was really insightful and really really interesting. So um, he
Right,
was
yes, because
talking
he came
about
out. You talk about where he came out before the movie and talked, and then he came out and talked after the movie in the theater. Yeah,
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
all right.
and I liked the whole thing about yeah, he's renamed his thing the No Fun Brigade, and
Mm.
everybody that's up, So how much swag did they end up giving out?
I didn't notice them giving out any swag there because it was dark, so I don't know if
Oh,
they what
true.
they gave out
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
Because I know I did. Speaking of the swag or the merch, because they did post the night before, Baz with various like with the hoodie and some T-shirts and stuff. And how do you like the merch?
Yeah.
So I reached out to my contacts who, well, I'll explain about those people. There are some people, PR people that reached out to me for the after party. But I said to them, "But where can you get the merch?" And they said, "Oh no, we don't have any any merch for sale. Those were sort of mock-ups, but we do have something for everybody that we're going to give them at the end of the after party, which you already know about. But I was going to wear it tonight, but it's too warm to put the hoodie on. So
Hey, that's all good. Enjoy the warm weather before it goes away, because it's like down here, it's like the last week of it before it goes back into the
yeah,
low
no, it's well
70s
right
and
now. Well, I was going to say it's 21 degrees, so 21 for you guys is well the
70.
people it's double it 42. I think yeah, it's about 72, 73, which is quite
Hmm.
nice.
Yeah, yeah. Down here, it's down here. It's in the high 70s. It's going to be in
Oh,
the
that's all right.
80s. It's going to be in like the mid 80s this weekend, and then it goes back down to like 70, 71, something like that. So
Yeah, nothing wrong with
it's
that.
no, 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 no. It's good hot tub weather.
Yeah, but yeah,
um,
people were
yeah.
very excited in the theater.
That's
Yeah,
cool. That's and well, and actually, what's funny is I wish we could have gone, because it was like old home week for so many of the Elvis fans that we know up in Canada. They all went,
well,
and
yes, yeah,
or
yeah.
they're going, and so
And
yes,
there were Elvis fans in the U.S. that were there. There were obviously Canadian Elvis fans. There were Elvis fans from the U.K. that were there. I'm not sure what other countries, but I know the UK, Canada, and and the US.
yeah, yeah, and also I wanted to say I was noticing in the in the comments, talking about that it's great that it's Elvis narrating. It's not outside opinions or anything like that. It's just
100%,
Elvis
yeah.
straight up.
And what they
And
used
that's
primarily for that, it was they used the audio he recorded in July '72. They used a lot of
yep,
that, but they also used footage from Houston press conference in February of 1970,
yep.
February, March, whenever that was filmed in 1970. They also used the Madison Square Garden press conference from 1972. They used some of the audio from the '69 comeback. And there were some other recordings that he did over the years, earlier recordings in the '60s and '50s and '60s. They used some of that as well. And it was, yeah,
Mhm.
just there was no one else talking. It was just Elvis, except at the end there was a little bit of that poem that Bono did about Elvis a couple of years ago. That was that was part of the end of the movie.
Okay,
But it was Elvis talking about Elvis.
that's cool. And
Yeah.
well, and we've been saying for Elvis fans have been saying for a long time that like when the first Lerman film came out, there were a lot of Elvis fans that were saying, "Oh, it's not Elvis himself; it's somebody else." It's like, well, here's the chance for us to support something that is Elvis himself, and that's the way this doing well or not well is
Hmm.
how this will live and die by the studio's opinion of the marketability of this will live and die by our support of a project like this. And
Well,
oh, sorry.
the part of the point of many movies going to, if not all of them, some of them already have a distributor when they premiere there. Some of them go there though looking for a distributor, which is
Right.
what Epic was doing. And since the premiere of the movie, and then the couple of the IMAX showings. Um, Baz says that they have got a fair bit of interest, that
Good.
people that want this little baby, and they just have to decide who they're going to give it to. So we're going to get a distributor,
Yeah.
and part of it is, they always said if it's a big studio, then it'll get a longer theatrical release, and then probably go to streaming, and then there'll be a Blu-ray after that. And if it's a streaming company that gets the rights or the distribution, then it will be a shorter theatrical run with streaming, and then the Blu-ray down the road.
Yeah.
And the goal, at least according to Joel, in Memphis in August, was that they would like to have all this done and out around the time of Elvis's birthday.
Yep.
Ideally, I was talking to another friend of ours who, Steve Burley. We were talking. We talked after after TIFF. The day on my drive home, I called him, and he goes, "What he said? The silence from Canada has been deafening. Thank God you called." And
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah. So what was my point with about Steve? What was where was I
Uh,
going with that? Um,
it's okay. I do the same thing.
it'll come back to me.
Well,
Um,
somebody had asked real quick, but while you're thinking of that, somebody asked if Alan El Rancho Grande is there video or is it just audio?
Let me. I got to check my notes because there's so much here. Let me just see if that. Let me. I don't. I
Yeah.
mean, I know the song. Let's
Yeah.
see.
And while you're looking that up, yeah, Vidar, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Vidar. Yeah, there are overdubs in this. Um, and oh, somebody said, does it end with Suspicious Minds?
Yes.
Frankie,
Yeah.
no 1977 poolside interview.
No, there's none of that. Well, I'll run it down. So we already talked about
Yeah,
something, and yesterday, and Fool Such as I from Culver City and Runaway. And then there
yeah,
was Bridge Over Troubled Water, and so we stopped at Oh Happy Day. So then you have some stage performances. You have CC Rider, Polk Salad Annie. The Next Step is Love. I Can't Stop Loving You. Men with Broken Hearts. The little poem before Walk a Mile in My Shoes. That's from the Lost Performances, but it's restored. Looks really nice.
cool.
They also have the where he's sitting on the stool for Little Sister Get Back and Are You Lonesome Tonight. We have that. Suspicious Minds, That's All Right, which was a new live performance. Tiger Man, You've Lost That Loving Feeling, that was an alternate version. Can't Help Falling in Love, Love Me, which was a montage of Ed Sullivan, That's the Way It Is, and the Richmond in the burning love suit, where he lies down and then looks up, and it's the scoreboard, the big monitor that's for the basketball games and the hockey games. And we've heard him, and he looks up and he's like, well, that's a big, big thing up there. That falls down. He says, "I'll be something like I'll be flatter than a pancake." So we have that. We have that footage, and then from on tour, there's "Always on My Mind" is used, Burning Love, and they have a combination of in the studio and Greensboro where he did it first. So they
Yep.
sort of mash those together, and they go between one or the other. How Great Thou Art from Hampton Roads. Never Been to Spain from Hampton Roads, which mixed in a bit from the Madison Square Garden press conference. There's a bit of that in
Okay.
there. Bridge Over Troubled Water from Hampton Roads. American Trilogy from Hampton Roads, which is just booming, just
Hmm.
fantastic. And then there's Near My God to Thee, with, as we mentioned, with the stamps around the piano. And then they do have a few things at the beginning musically, but different stuff from the 50s. They have Blue Suede Shoes from the Screen Test.
Okay.
They have Edge of Reality to sort of talk about some of the where Elvis is talking about the movies, and I just didn't like doing them anymore. And so they had the Edge of the Reality thing with the dog, and that was that. A few people thought that was funny, and it
Yeah.
was kind of amusing. And then they have miscellaneous things from the Dorsey Brothers, Army induction, and some Ed Sullivan clips. And that's sort of just
Okay.
done at the beginning very quickly to sort of give some context, and then it goes into
Yeah.
the 57 Hawaii footage, and then we get right into 70 and 72 and go back and forth between them.
Okay. So now
But
for the 57 Hawaii footage, is there audio? Not there's not audio with the footage, of course. Did they use audio from 61
no,
with that,
if my
or
it's
is there
hard
any
because it was
audio with
so
that at all?
quick. Yeah, it was so quick. There was audio. I don't recall what it was over it. I think it was just.
Okay.
I honestly I don't remember, and I wasn't taking notes in the theater, so um,
Okay.
so I'm not
Oh,
sure
did you
what
find
music.
anything about did you find anything about All on El Rancho Grande, by the way?
I know I didn't see any of that in
Okay.
my in the notes that are sort of done after the fact.
Yeah,
Um,
that's all good.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so people,
Christy,
if people want to know, there's not much footage from San Antonio or Greensboro. There is footage from Albuquerque where he sees the young lady who had the young girl with cancer who went to go see him before the show. That's in really good quality. The footage, the sound is not super because he was talking very quietly, so the sound
right.
is tough to because part of it sometimes too is because the crowd was so enthusiastic. It was hard to hear some of the quieter dialogue, and there wasn't
Okay.
much quiet dialogue. So
Yeah.
um, let me just see here. Yeah, something's
Yeah.
no,
Oh,
no, there's no.
and Kirsty says apparently Elvis talking about Colonel Parker has Devil in Disguise in the background.
Yes, that's true. And he also there's footage I haven't seen before where he gets in the back of the limo, and there's that music's playing, but then Elvis is talking, and this I believe is he's in the white suit. I can't remember where they were, but he's in the back of the limo, and he says Colonel Parker never forgets anything, doesn't forget anyone, anywhere. He always remembers birthdays and special occasions. He never forgets a thing. And I don't believe I've ever seen that footage of Elvis saying that about him
I don't
before.
remember that either, so that's
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah.
Very nice. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I'm excited to see that. If that's going to get played at for Elvis's birthday next year, I mean, we're planning on being down there anyway for the winter festival,
Hmm.
and we want to have some post Christmas related hijinks and
Well,
things
I
like
think
that down
ideally,
there.
if what I mean, the way I mean, they will do what they want to do, but ideally, I
Sure.
think it would be good for a November theatrical release,
Yes.
and then have the streaming and the Blu-ray and stuff happen in late December, early January type of thing.
Yeah.
But usually after a film festival, shortly, within a month or 6 weeks, you'll get some information as to what's happening, and who the distributor is, and what the game plan is down the road. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
and hopefully they do. Like I had a few different ideas. Fathom events would be kind of interesting. I hope it gets a wider release than that because I think the potential of this is huge.
Hmm.
Um, but it's one of those things of you know whatever whatever way we can get this that gets them the money. John and I were just kind of ballparking in our head, and we're thinking that most likely this was somewhere between an $8 and $15 million project, especially given the amount of time and the years, and that's potentially on the low end.
Hmm.
Tom just said, yeah, Joel Weinschenker wants to. He was talking about debut. He did talk at Elvis Week about it possibly debuting during the birthday week, and I think
Yes,
that depends
that's what
on.
he did say that. Yeah.
That all depends on what distribution deal they get
Hmm.
because yeah, but we'll get into the business talk about all that stuff a little bit later. Now, granted, my my knowledge of that side of things is not nothing, but it's also not like I'm not an expert. I'm just ear to the ground and all that kind of stuff. But I think there's a lot of things still, even with that tiny piece of experience that I've got with it, I think there's a lot that fans be will be able to take from that as information that they can that will be useful to them, especially depending on what they're looking at.
Hmm.
So anyway, so that's the and obviously the response. I would assume standing ovation
Yes.
after
Oh
the
yeah.
movie,
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
and I look. Sorry, I love the stories of like I love that Baz would let people talk about their Elvis stories. It was there was one lady in particular that I
Yes.
remember,
Yeah,
and it
one
was
lady who was
yeah,
got up leaning up against the stage, and she was very emotional and talking to. He gave her the microphone, and she had been to Vegas in August of 1970, and
yes,
slipped Emilio a few extra bucks so she could get close to the stage. And she just said it was just so wonderful that he's brought this back, and she just thanked him very much for for everything he has done, especially with and thanked him so much for this documentary.
yeah. That's awesome, and
Yeah.
it's really nice to see just to yeah, the what video I've seen of the before and after of Baz talking and the response that he got is incredible. Like people yelling things out. I mean, that's just yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into the how to say let's see. Very nice, Kirsty. She just so I don't know if you can see this, Paul, but the comments are on the
Yeah, I
right
can't
hand
see
side of
them,
it.
so yeah.
Oh, you okay? Just me. Okay, I'll try to. She said
When I
do his best,
rewatch
Michael.
it
We'll do
later,
ours
maybe I'll be
too.
able to see them. What was your question?
Yeah. Oh,
Or-
that wasn't a question. She was just referencing the that interview from 72. By the way, we saw a piece of that 72 interview that was in color. How much of that do we see in the movie itself?
you see some of it, all in color, obviously, where he talks about his records with the Metropolitan Orchestra and working with the band, and and I'm not sure how many minutes of it you see, but it's all there and it looks great. I mean, what you see is it looks great. There's maybe 4 3 4 minutes of it, but not
Yeah.
all at once, just here and there throughout the movie.
Yeah, yeah. Psychedelic. Will Epic be added to Presley's own movie canon as the 34th movie? Well, I mean, This Is Elvis wasn't added. It'll probably be. I mean,
No, I
it'll be
don't think it
listed
will.
on No, it'll be listed on Elvis's IMDb page, I'm
Hmm.
sure, but it's not going to be. It's fans won't consider it the next movie because it's
Wasn't
mostly
released in his
using pieces
lifetime. You know,
that well, that and it's also mostly using pieces of footage filmed for two other movies.
right?
So that would be like us taking, I don't know, outtake footage from Speedway and Spin Out and Double Trouble and making a new movie out of it. It's not really its own
Hmm.
thing at that point. But so how did the after party? Well, I don't know how much of it you can talk about or whatever, but how
Oh
did
no,
the
I
after
yeah, I
party
can.
invite happen?
So when I got to Toronto, the after party was not on my my agenda. Let's put it that
Yeah,
way. We sat down at and just to give you a bit of a so my son works in Montreal, and he works on an American TV show, but it's filmed up in Canada, Ghosts on CBS. He has a friend who also works in Montreal, but was at TIFF, assigned to work at TIFF for the week. And because at the time I had sort of three irons in the fire to get tickets, I had okay, I could buy a ticket. I could see if Kevin could find a way to get a ticket. And then I had another friend in Toronto who might be able to get tickets because she was a member of TIFF. And then and then after August 15th, I found out well Joel was going to get us some tickets.
right.
So once that happened, I sort of put the others aside. But Kevin kept in touch, and he, even to the point where he says, "Oh, the PR people got in touch with me like the near the day before for," and I said, "Well, I've already got some tickets." He says, "Oh, okay, all right, no problem." But we get into the theater, and my phone gets a buzz from Kevin, and he says, "Someone from the PR from the movie and Baz's team are going to reach out to you. You'll probably get a text." And he said, "Just be ready for it." So a couple minutes later, I get a text from a gentleman who has been working on the movie as doing PR in Toronto for the last couple of months. And he says, "Hey, Paul, I hope Kevin let you know." He says, this is Corey. And he says, we would, Baz, this is what he said. He says, "Baz would like to invite you to the after party." And I go, "Baz would like to invite me to the after party?" So I didn't even say, I just showed the phone to my wife. she looked at it and she's like looking at me, and I texted. I mean, yes, she's obviously yes, we're going to go. So I texted him. I said yes, we would love to go. Um, and then so he sent me the details and everything, and because you get a tap barcode to go and everything, and it was 9:30 to midnight at a hotel, at the Ace Hotel in Toronto.
Yep.
And but I what I found out was, I guess, Kevin had told Corey that Paul's a huge fan. He did a book a number of years ago, and this is and he talked to my son Sean. He's, as you know, I've got a few health issues that I'm dealing with right now, and they sort of just they told that story to him, and he told it to Baz's people who spoke to, and they went and talked to Baz, and they relayed this information to him, and he said, invite him to the party. I'd like to meet him. I'd like to talk to him.
That's cool.
And so, anyways, we, Joe and I went, walked around Toronto and had some bite to eat, and then went up to the after party. And we got there, and we see, Angie's there, and Alicia and Joel, and the usual suspects from Graceland that but everyone else at the party, I had no idea who these people were. I mean, they were basically, oh, John's coming in. Hey, John.
Yeah.
They were basically movie people, and people that Baz was there to try and sell them
Hold on.
the movie.
Yeah.
And so we walk around, and chat to a few people and have some nibblies and stuff. And Baz wasn't there yet because they were doing a sound check. Him and Jonathan were doing a sound check on the for the IMAX to make sure everything looked and sounded good for the next day for the IMAX showing.
Yeah.
And he came in about 10:30 or so, and everyone milling about and going over to see him and stuff. And I had no idea, that I mean, like they said, oh, he wants to talk to you, but I thought, well, he just, that's not going to happen. So we thought, well, we'll go over and say hi or something, right? But there were so many people, so we just sort of stood off to the side, and then this guy comes up and he goes, "Are you Paul?" And I went, "Yes." He goes, "Okay." He says, "Baz would like to talk to you, so just give me or just stay right here." Another PR guy came over, and they are all chatting with me. "Hey, how you doing?" And "Good to see you," et cetera, et cetera. And they said, "We're going to get Baz to come over, so just don't move." Okay.
Yeah.
So he's talking to some people, and he finishes, and he turns, and some other lady comes in and grabs him and starts to talk to him, and his PR guy, or his assistant, tapped him on the shoulder and whispered in his ear, and he turned around and came over to Joan and I and introduced himself. And like I introduced myself, I think, but we both said, "Hi, I'm Bab," and we shook hands, and we had a great conversation. There's some pictures that I think my wife took. I'm not, because it was a blur, but it wasn't like, "Hey, how you doing? Thanks for coming." We had a conversation for about 5 minutes, and he was very sincere and very, very nice and very generous with his time, and he is a huge fan. He goes, "Look, I know the fans want more. I hear it from them daily." And he says, "We've got Hampton Roads, the full concert, and we have, the 59 hours." And he says, and we would like to do something, but we have to sort of figure out, we've got to get a distributor here, and then we'll sort of figure out what we're going to do. But, we do want to release some of the extra footage. And I said, "Yeah, we'd all love that. We'd all love that. Would be great." So we chatted a bit. When I thanked him, I just said, everything, I told him what I thought of the movie that we had just seen, and how I enjoyed it very much. And we basically, then that was that. But just over a few feet away from me was Angie, was talking to Jonathan Redmond, the editor. So I went over to say hello, and we ended up in a conversation, and that's where Jonathan said, "We did use just small snippets during the movie. I understand that fans want the full songs, and we know that, and we want to get those out there to them. We want to get the full songs." And he goes, "And we've got Hampton Roads." I said, "Oh yeah, I know we have you have Hampton Roads." I said, "And we would love that." And Baz hinted at the beginning, or that when he talked at the end of the movie, he mentioned Hampton Roads, and go talk to your local theater. That maybe will be the sequel. That would be something we'll do next. So But Jonathan mentioned, and he mentioned the time that they spent working on this, and it's part of them now. He says, we're not this Elvis is not going to go away. It's part of our life. And
That's
see,
cool.
and I think we have the 59. We're not going to do 59 hours, because that would, it's not feasible. And I know you would like it, John would like it, I would like it. But they're
I
gonna,
mean,
I
I
think,
have ideas trying to make it happen, but that's a whole
yeah.
other thing.
Well, you can reach out. He's on Instagram. You can send him you can message him.
True.
You can
True. Well,
message him.
I got the email address for his agent too, so I'm going to reach out for that.
He actually, if I communicate with him on Instagram, and he replies back.
Oh,
So,
he does.
oh yeah,
Oh,
oh
great.
yeah, he does. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
phenomenal.
One thing that me and Jamie have been talking about a lot is that I think fans should understand with video stuff, when you've got editing and sync rights and restoration cost and all this other, it's not like an FTD where you can sustain a release on video off of 2,500 hardcore fans, unless you want the price to be like $5,000 a copy.
Yeah.
Because the budget for these kind of projects go into the millions. So it's going to be something that has to be general audience and get a few more people involved,
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, for sure.
Well, and the other thing is if you use things like Epic to, I've been saying, you all have heard me, if you've watched more than 2 freaking videos on this channel, you've heard me say over and over again about creating a market for something, building a movement, building this, building that, and all this kind of stuff. Like, we're going to work on building a market for Elvis in 5.1 because I believe in that wholeheartedly, and I'm going to put out some samples for you all to test with. I got to make sure that John's volume. Everybody's saying that John's volume is down.
I can hear him.
Do I need to turn my mic up? I can turn it up here if I need to.
Yeah. They say that you're quiet.
Okay, is that better?
I think I might be quiet too. I need to. To speak up. Anyways,
John, I don't think anyone's ever accused Jamie of being quiet, right?
No, you're right.
Oh man, I do apologize for being late, guys. For some reason, I thought this was starting at 6 my time, so I had my phone back here charging. So because I use it as a camera. And I didn't get Jamie's message until
because there's an hour difference between you guys. I'm 10 to 7 here now. So
but anyway, so John and I have been talking about different ideas and ways to kind of with something like this, especially since.
Sorry, Jamie, you just dropped in sound quite a bit.
Oh, I did. Okay,
yeah.
let me go back in here and make sure that this is okay. Is that better?
Yeah, seems to be.
Okay, good. Well, then there we go. Okay, so one of the things that so I don't want to quite get into this just yet, but because I want the focus to still be on the experience. But thank you, Darren. I appreciate that. But with video, the more revenue streams you can have on something, especially since John and I get the impression, and Paul, if you want to let us know if you think this is accurate, that the impression that because this is because it's not being distributed by Warner Brothers, that this has more or less been fronted by Baz and Joel and some of that stuff, which is something the fans have been asking for a long time.
Yeah, and Sony too, because Joel was listed as an executive producer, so he fronted some money, and Sony as well.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things where when it's that kind of thing, and this stuff is obviously not cheap. We've known that for a long time. It's the reason why Graceland didn't buy it back in the 90s, when it would have been a lot less expensive. And so finding multiple revenue streams for something like this is really important, and that's so that way fans can get as much of this as possible. I also want everybody to understand that 59 hours does not mean 59 hours of different performances.
Right.
Because if you take 4 camera angles at 59 hours, you take 59 divided by 4.
Yeah.
That's not quite right, because you've got some hours of like the people going in to see Elvis in 1970, like Sammy Davis and Charo and George.
Sorry, before I forget, Jamie, you mentioned about that. The backstage footage with Cary Grant and Sammy Davis Jr. and other people. That looks amazing. That looks amazing.
I think they found a new
how's the
source
audio
on
on
that.
it?
Was that, you think it was a new source?
I think so. Yeah.
Well, there are. I will say again, and when now it's coming back. And one of the things Jonathan said when we were talking was, yeah, they they have gotten other sources from other people. He says because we know. He said we know we don't have everything, and that everything wasn't in the salt mines.
Right.
And we did get other footage, and we have had help from some big fans on this. Some fans have helped us with this. He says, but we know there's more. And I mentioned this earlier, Jamie, before you came on, John. He says we know there's other footage out there that it somehow went out the back door, but we would like to get as much of it as we can. And if there are fans out there that have it, reach out. We will be more than happy to look
That
at.
is interesting to hear.
That's
Glad to hear that.
That is huge.
Yeah.
Like seriously, the fact that they are willing to do that's an interest for them is huge.
And I want to piggyback on something that Jamie was saying, because while I love our Elvis community, I do notice that some people on the forums tend to be a little bit of Goldilocks when they're approaching projects, and they tend to kind of be dismissive of things that are not precisely to their tastes. And I want to say that, like, this is an opportunity, guys, because EPE and Sony are going out on a limb to license this. Sorry if you can hear my dogs barking. And if we don't support this, like, you can just write off ever seeing Hampton Roads or any of the rest of it. They've got to get a return on their investment. And if they do, it's very likely, if this does well, it's very likely we'll see more stuff. If they don't do well, you're not going to see that stuff. That's just the way that it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, have you guys seen the Variety magazine or Variety review of the movie?
Is that the one by who wrote that one? Do you know?
Hang on a second. I'm trying to pull it up here.
While you're pulling it up, just want to say, hey, Justin, he said he just want to stop in and say that he appreciates Paul sharing. Sorry,
Justin, is that Justin Francois?
At some point.
Is that Justin from? That's Justin from up here. That's Justin Francois, I believe. No.
Oh no, Justin from TCB Cast.
Oh, okay. So Variety magazine, epic Elvis Presley in concert review. Baz Luhrmann's Elvis documentary is one of the most exciting concert films you've ever seen. And he gives a review that is phenomenal from start to finish. The review is just, it was written by Owen Gleiberman.
Okay, Owen's a good film critic. Like, I usually like him. He's a big name in that industry.
He gave a really good. My buddy, shout out to Mark Schaefer and Brad Burkadall from the Memphis Flash podcast. Mark reached out to me. Well, you know Mark, Jamie, and Brad. So Mark was the one who sent me the review. He goes, "Can you read this review?" He says, "I've never seen a review this good." And it is. It's great. You got to read it.
Yeah, I've seen several reviews that have come out that have been just absolutely raves. So yes. I'm so excited to see this.
This one here from Variety, the one Owens, is the most well written of the reviews, I must say. But at the end of it, he says, and this is his last sentence. He says, "What you see is what you get. Elvis in the Raw, driven by the awareness that it doesn't get any better than that." So
there you go, man.
Yeah,
that's really cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to see. Well, and Baz has the, how do I put this? Baz has the personality or a little bit of celebrity status, as a creative, that is helpful to make something like this go further than it would normally, just under its own. Because, like, look, I have a lot of respect. I mean, you may or may not believe it, but we do have a lot of respect for, like, Ernst and a lot of the folks that are doing projects.
Totally.
But not everybody is necessarily like has got that it factor of their own that they can really get people hyped for something. And
Yeah, well, I mean,
Baz is Mr. Hype. Like he
yeah,
knows that.
we owe a ton of gratitude to Ernst for what he's done since 1998 and what we've got
Yeah.
releases. I mean, this many years and since they started. I mean, there's so much that they put out there. It's an incredible body of work, and people are friends of mine. You still get Elvis physical product? You buy what, CDs? But no, you're right about Baz though. I mean, in chatting with him, he is a genuine fan. I mean, you've seen what he's done with his last two projects, but more with this one than the movie itself. Is he really seems to be pumped by this, excited about it. He's really enjoying, what, and it's been hard work, but he seems to really just enjoy what they've done and what they're continuing to do.
Yeah.
I also want to say something. This is also a rebuttal to people in the forums. I see some complaints that this only has about 30 minutes of new footage, that the rest is just improved versions of what we've already seen. Tell me one project in the last 25 years that's had 30 minutes of new pro shot footage of Elvis. That doesn't come around every day. That's huge.
Yeah. And the fact, and when you see it, John, the quality of, I mean, stuff, okay, we've seen that before. Yeah, well, it looked like, sorry, I look like shit. I mean, the stuff, it just looks incredible now. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now I have Elvis and the 60 come back in my head. Well, the technology has improved.
Exactly.
Clearly improved, but it's true. Like all of this stuff has gotten better and better and better over time. We are in a much better position than we were a long time ago. Like when Lost Performances, or even That's the Way It Is Special Edition came out. And to be clear, I am sure when they say 59 hours of footage, that is not 59 hours of all new footage. That's just talking about everything that's been found since.
No, of course. No, it's not all new footage. No.
But we know for a fact that there is some new stuff because again, I've talked about the islet footage that was seen that I distinctly remember. I don't think I'm wrong on this. I distinctly remember what was the guy's name again? I used to know it off the top of my Rick Smidlin. Rick Smidlin saying that they only filmed the 14th from the back. We know for a fact that that's not true because now we have footage from the front. And like Tracy says, I'm hoping to be able to count his chest hairs. Well, hey, in IMAX, there you go.
IMAX should be able to, yeah.
Yeah, if they can pause the thing. So speaking of the August 14th footage of Elvis in the islet suit, what exactly do we see of that? Do you remember?
To pinpoint exact dates.
Sorry. The August 14th footage is Elvis in the islet suit. It's a very simple suit from August of 70.
It's the white one with the red scarf that's in all the promo photos. That's
you don't see you see him walking out.
Okay.
And then there's one where I think he's got that suit where he leans down to kiss a girl, but that's it. Okay. You don't see it. You don't see a lot of footage from that. I was hoping, but yeah, you see it.
Basically what we've seen in the trailers. Okay.
Basically, but yes.
Still, nice to see that they did that because that debunks what we had been told previously, that they only filmed from the back because RCA wasn't there, so they didn't bother. So that's really cool.
There is also some backstage footage where you can see him walking with the Sweets and the Imperials and Millie Kirkham, and then up close to them talking on a couple of different occasions, and that just looks like it was filmed yesterday. It just looks amazing. And they and they're joking around before they're going on stage, and he's tuning the guitar and stuff, but it just looks. I mean, you can see the scratches on the guitar. I mean, it's so clear. Wow. When he's holding his guitar up, where he holds it up and sort of does that, and you can see all the marks from playing it so much.
Yep. And I just want to say real quickly, Vicky. Vicky just said Ernst, in my opinion, tends to produce sloppy releases that are not as perfected as she'd like. This is what I want you to understand. We have genuine beefs with certain aspects of the way things are done today. But I want you to understand very plainly, there are few people on the face of this earth who were more positive influences than Ernst Jorgensen, especially in the 90s and into the 2000s, in shaping not just the way the general public saw Elvis and the contexts with which they saw Elvis, but also in the Elvis fandom itself. As Paul and I were talking about in the beginning, like I remember Elvis fans, when you brought up Elvis's movies at all, their words out of their mouth would be, Elvis hated his movies and so do I. That was the end of the conversation. That was it. And now we know that the movie stuff is not Ernst's favorite material, and that's okay. Everybody's got their preferences. But even with that, with the double features releases, I mean, we can talk about the Digital Echo and some of that kind of thing, but like with the double features releases, with the compartmentalization of the Elvis releases as they were in the 90s and the early 2000s, those recontextualized Elvis's recordings in such a way that even the fandom and the thoughts of the fandom in the 60s, because I remember people talking about the mid 60s about how, well, there wasn't anything good until the 68 comeback came around. Now we're talking about how beautiful It's a Sin and Echoes of Love and all of these things are. And we owe that to Ernst because a lot of those songs were thrown onto soundtrack releases and they got kind of buried.
Yeah,
But
no,
one of
Ernst
those,
and Roger, they resurrected that catalog and made it something that you could hold your head high and say, I'm an
yeah,
L. And look at the releases. Look at the
yeah,
catalog. They really, took something
yeah,
that was not going well after Elvis passed away,
yeah,
and made it into something that's well respected and well received, in my opinion.
yeah. And like and again, like our current, the state of current things, our opinion of this of the way things are being done now, uh does not in any way take away from our appreciation for the amount of things that have happened. And it's not to say that it's all bad, because hey, we're finally getting session releases after they scraped everything else off the barrel that they could get. I say that as a joke, but we're finally getting it.
Hey, Harem
And
Scarum has never
that's
sounded better, guys. Come on.
it's exactly
It's
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 True.
it's true.
it's
Absolutely
great.
true.
It
Yeah,
sounds yeah, it sounds great.
yeah.
I also want to plug this because I don't know how many people are aware.
Hey, John, speak up a little bit, man, because you're a little
Oh,
quiet.
okay. Yeah, sorry. I turned my mic down. All right.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how many people are aware of this, but the reason that we have the list of Elvis performances that we have from 1954 and 55 now, just in terms of knowing the dates and where he played, the reason we've got all that is because of Ernst Jorgensen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad, I remember when I was a kid, Ernst came over here and he and my dad drove around to these little rural Arkansas libraries to dig through their microfiche, to dig out every little piece of information they could about Elvis in the early 50s. And he wasn't just working with my dad. He had a network of guys who are researching this. And Ernst was the one driving all that research. Like, they didn't keep records. Like, Bob Neal didn't have a list of everywhere Elvis played. That is all. The fact that we know that is all thanks to the footwork of Ernst Jorgensen. He put so many hours, so many man hours, so many.
Well, the amount of time he put
years.
on The Boy from Tupelo, I can imagine.
Oh my God, he'd been working on that thing for probably like 40 years, I bet.
Yeah,
at least
years.
Yeah.
And the reason I talk about all that stuff is because we do have, like, there are silly mistakes that happen. There are issues that we have with various releases, but I do want to make sure that is tempered with the appreciation of what has happened, because I think if we as a fan base just do nothing but complain about something without acknowledging and appreciating the important work that's been done by various people in the Elvis community, we run the risk of those folks not listening when we have a genuine grievance or something that we would like to see changed. And then that's very, very important. That's why I talk about that stuff. And yeah. See, Elvis fans, TCB Cast says, Elvis fans take for granted how well his catalog has been taken care of by Ernst in comparison to many of Elvis's peers, especially his influences. Yeah, Vicky, Elvis deserves perfection because he was a perfect. Well, I will say, I mean, nobody's perfect. Elvis was absolutely a perfectionist. The There are just certain things we're going to go as we get more into the season. We've got some things, and we want to talk about. It's amazing, even in audio, how many things are still a learning process for professionals and us as listeners, and also semi-pros and things like myself, and uh, and it's the lessons that we can take from some of this stuff and the approaches that we can take with some of this stuff that I think will really elevate the material to the next step in everything. And I think it's important as we do that we show appreciation while saying we say what we'd like to see different while showing appreciation. And that's because, like John was saying, so much information, so much legwork and groundwork has been done by a lot of folks, Ernst and Roger included. And we make jokes and things, but please understand that is we make those jokes but we make those jokes with also keeping in mind what has been done, and we don't mean that with genuine malice by any stretch of the imagination. It's very important.
Also, I want to point out to Scouser here, who says that Ernst should have checked 30 number one hits because there are alternate takes. 30 number one hits is a David Bendith project. Ernst had very little to do with that.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, there's a great interview with him that he recently did, which is worth a watch. It's I think on YouTube or something. I reposted it on Facebook, but it's worth watching.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Also, I would say I do tend to agree that the CD release of 30 number one hits has not necessarily aged well in the sound, in the loudness wars. The Blu-ray I find better. Agreed. Because the Blu-ray has less compression on it, and it's because it's allowed to breathe a little bit. It's a nice sound. I mean, you all know what our preference is for that. Anyway, we're getting way off our topics, but we just wanted to say that real quick, and because I do think it's important that we voice what we'd like to see differently. I do think it's also important how we do that.
Also,
so that way, because we want it to be, if we want change, if we want things to really change, it's not just important that we say it, it's important how we say it.
Also, I think we just need to look at the opportunities that are in front of us. I don't care who you're a fan of. How many times do you get a chance to have a theatrical documentary handled by an Oscar-nominated director with 30 minutes of unseen footage of an artist who's been gone for this long? This kind of a project doesn't come along that often. The last thing that we've seen that was
we're talking about Epic now.
I am definitely talking about Epic. The last thing that we've seen that is comparable is that's the way it is special edition. And like I said, it's been 25 years since we've had one of those. And we should remember that originally the plan was to follow up That's the Way It Is, the special edition, with Elvis on Tour, the special edition, but that never happened because it didn't receive enough support when it came out. So it's very important. If you want to see more, go support this film.
You're right. I am going to add some context to that because that's my bag. So I'm going to add some context to that. So, Mark Schaefer got a chance to talk with Ted Turner about Elvis That's the Way It Is special edition. Apparently, Turner put in $1 million or something like that of his own money and didn't see a return on his investment. Now, that's why Elvis on Tour didn't happen. There was a lot of hubbub. Now, Turner and Warner or whatever made some pretty grave mistakes that cost them some of that support as well, because originally there was going to be a bunch of special features that were going to be included on the DVD, and those were not included, and eventually we were told that some of those would be aired on Turner Classic Movies. Rick Schmidlin himself told fans to tape it off of television, and it would be played before the video came out. And then it would also have more performances on it than what we'd be getting on the VHS and the DVD at the time. Blu-ray was not even it was barely a pipe dream at the moment. So, like, this is not that situation. This is being handled, this, from all things that I can see, is being handled much, much more intelligently. But, like, we can point to a lot of the mismanagement on that's the way it is to that. But fans have been saying for a long time that Elvis needs a movie where Elvis gets to speak, where Elvis gets to we hear from Elvis. We're getting that, and that's great, and it's whetting the appetite more, because, like we said, the Elvis movie 2022 was not the end of the conversation, it was the beginning, right? So this is the next step in the conversation, and Elvis himself gets to talk, and Elvis himself gets to be the lone voice, and we hear the performances, and they're put into a context. Now, there were some folks that said, well, why does Elvis have to be recontextualized? People don't do that to the Beatles. People don't do that to Here's the thing.
Hello? Peter Jackson's movie? Come on.
Right. Well, right. But we're getting to the point now where there's a lot more talk about Elvis these days than there is the Beatles. So we're going to get to a point where they're going to make a movie. Well, they're working on them. They're working on 4, where they were at one time.
Yeah, 4 simultaneous films is the plan for the Beatles right now.
Right. So we're getting to a point where generations have passed enough that the other artists, because, like, Elvis was kind of on the back foot. You all remember the 80s. Well, maybe you don't. I don't know how old you are. Like, in the 80s, Elvis was getting bagged by the media. He was getting bagged by society in general. If you weren't an Elvis fan, generally people had dismissive things to say about Elvis. Everything was thank you very much. And to this day, I cannot stand that because of how often I heard it. To this day, I don't like the glasses because they were used as a joke at Elvis's expense. That's why, it's one of the reasons why if they have the EP in the front, I'm more okay with it than if they don't, because it's like a detail thing. And so, like, the Beatles, like, Rolling Stone had a knee pillow with Paul and John on it, right? So let's not kid ourselves that Elvis and his fans have been on the defensive to a certain degree. We are finally at a point where a lot of that is washed mostly away. And so that's why some of these recontextualizations had to happen, because Elvis's catalog was mismanaged by RCA. Elvis was an incredibly intelligent and poignant and emotive artist. And we got an episode that John and I are going to have in about a week or two that is going to talk about specifically that, and that's why we connect as fans to his music the way that we do. But he was not his best cheerleader because he didn't feel right talking about it as his art. But it absolutely was. And so it takes people looking at this with a lens to show the general public and to Elvis fans that this was not just a man who got lucky. This was not just a pretty face with a good voice. This was an intelligent, funny, insightful, beautiful artist.
And I think, like,
we are at a point with that now.
Few people have told that story, like, as well as Baz on the big stage. Like, he's done a very good job. So even if you have quibbles with the 2022 movie, and yes, they obviously fudged some details for dramatic purposes, like, the big ideas are there, and it clearly connected with the audience. And it looks like this one is primed to do the same thing from these early reviews.
Yeah, 100%, John. This new one. He's hit it out of the park. He's done a great job with this, and it's gonna just put an even more positive spin for people to look at. And because Elvis in 1970 and 1972, he was in control of what was happening, and he was enjoying what he was doing, and his interaction with the musicians. They had fun, but they also had respect for each other. It just comes across loud and clear in this in the 96 minutes that fly by. It comes across loud and clear.
I can't wait to see it.
beautiful.
As soon as this thing hits theaters, I'm getting IMAX tickets, and I'm going more than one time, and I'm bringing my friends and my family to different showings. Like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna do everything
didn't
I
see
can to
it.
support
Yeah,
this.
I didn't see it in IMAX. I saw the premiere was not in IMAX, but
Okay.
from what I heard in talking to the editor, to Jonathan and to Baz, they weren't sure until they did the test before he came to the party, the after party, and he said it's gonna knock people's socks off. So
Wow.
I plan to see it in IMAX the next time. Well, whenever it gets its full theatrical release.
So I got a
Yeah.
question for you, Paul. You guys may have covered this before I jumped on, but it'd be worth reiterating.
Yeah.
So what can we expect in terms of overdubbing in the film?
Well, he gave an interview after, which sort of shed a bit of light on that. So he said it's fully, whenever you hear Elvis's vocals, it's Elvis. When you hear Ronnie Tutt or James Burton or Glenn Harden or Jerry Schiff or John Wilkinson, that's them. And they married the vocals with the voices, and like I said, that took them a couple of years to do all of that stuff. In a couple of cases where the orchestra wasn't, where the orchestra sort of was in the background and wasn't really recorded as well as they would have liked, they have used additional orchestration for certain pieces, but not a ton. One point, there's two things that I noticed when I was watching the movie, and again, it's hard to see when you're just sitting there and you're glued to it and you're trying to enjoy the movie and not be like, what is this? What is that? But I did notice two things. During the singing of "In the Ghetto," when he's in the red ladder suit, which we've had on the Lost Performances, I believe,
Yeah.
they are using the studio vocals for that, which I found a bit odd. And that was the one thing that was that I noticed right away. And most people probably wouldn't notice it, but I mean, I did, and it was confirmed. I confirmed it with Brad after, because I talked to the guy. I did their podcast the next day, and then Brad mentioned "Oh Happy Day," which looks great, sounds great. It's all of Elvis's vocals, but I'm sure the instrumentation there has been enhanced or just redone, because it just sounds, because we've heard it, what we've heard before, and it was, you could hear Elvis's vocals pretty good, but the band, you could barely hear them at all.
Yeah, that's one of the points that I've made talking about this before, is that basically what we get is mic bleed on the instrumentation on the original recording. And like, that's not how Elvis would have wanted this, presented to an audience. So I don't have any problem with him overdubbing and staying faithful to the original arrangement.
Yeah.
So that we can get a better idea of what it would have sounded like in the showroom. I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. It sounds great. It looks great too.
That's cool. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing this, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this in IMAX. It said, "In the Ghetto" is a new orchestrated version done by Don Robertson. What?
Yeah, maybe that's in the credits somewhere. I don't know, but
yeah. I'm excited to see this thing, and I think that I did notice that there were some Royal Philharmonic notes in the credits.
Yeah, you hear a bit of them for when they're starting "Burning Love." You hear a bit of them for that. Yeah, but then it kicks into just the normal Elvis and the band.
Okay, good, because that.
I did notice that too. Again, it's like sometimes when someone reiterates tells me after, it's like, oh yeah, right, I remember that, because I was when I heard it, I go, wait a second, but then it went away, and it was like, okay, I'm fine now.
I love that, and that's one of the reasons why I was really excited to talk to you about this, because you have our sensibilities with this stuff,
Yeah,
and
we know you've got an eye for this kind of stuff, so it's great to hear the reports.
I don't have an ear, just an eye.
no, it's all good, it's all good. Well, I've also got a set of studio speakers, so that doesn't, that helps the ear.
Yes.
Okay, now I want to answer this. Do we finally found out what Elvis said? I'm sorry, I can't do that. Giving the pin back. Yeah, like he was responding to, like, she was asking for a pin back, and he was joking that he couldn't give it back to her. That's how I've always interpreted that, right?
Yeah, because he's acting, because before that he's acting like, no, I can't do that. I'm sorry. Like he, and then he's goofing with her, right? He's telling her he can't give it back, but he can. And then she's like, wait. I was like, just okay, hold on.
Yeah, there's close-up footage of that, and then there's also the footage where he takes a sip of the martini and makes the face like, what's in this, coughs a little bit. And there's also the foot, where he goes out in the audience during "Love Me Tender," I think it is. There's footage of that, which again is nice. We've seen it before, but not in this quality.
Wow.
Yep. So I want to go over just a couple of things real quick, and Paul, if you want to get, be happy to get your reactions to this as well. John and I have talked about this ad nauseum. So like the budget, if I remember correctly, I'm going to go back and look to make sure I get this as much as I can. See, with marketing. So the 2022 budget, let's see, the budget of the film was $85 million for the Austin Butler film. If I remember correctly, I think it was 130 or 140 million with marketing, if I'm not mistaken. And the box office was 288.7 million. But let's see, Elvis 2022. I'm going to look up Box Office Mojo. And let's see. Okay, so worldwide 288 million. So that means it made about 140, 150 million, right? And so it made about 150 million. I mean, they all understand that this is a smaller project in some ways, right? It's not going to doesn't have quite the same budget, because some of that budget was done. Sorry, how do I put this? Some of what was needed to be done was done for the Elvis movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was already kind of started, right?
Right.
And so this, because like John and I told Paul, I said, our estimation is that this is probably between 8 million and 15 million. If there would be a way, post-COVID, that's very good post-COVID. Like the Superman movie made a couple hundred, well, I think they said 122, but anyway, by the time it's all said and done with everything else, it's probably going to make about a couple hundred million. And so like that is the waters that we as Elvis fans are kind of swimming in on some level. Now, not quite as much now that I know this is a smaller distribution company, but Sony is not a small company. Mm-hmm. Sony's a big deal. But that's not it's their production company, not the distribution company. So a little bit of apples and oranges there. If we can find a way as fans to get anything approaching those kind of numbers for this, then we will have been able to prove that Elvis didn't need Austin Butler to make a profit. And I don't say that with any disrespect to Austin Butler. I thought he was amazing. He's paid more attention. He paid more attention to Elvis than anybody I've seen in my life, except maybe me. And like, it was beautiful to watch. It was absolutely beautiful to watch. But everybody in moviedom, everybody in Hollywood and all that kind of stuff who crunches numbers and makes their living and all this sort of thing, this is a movie that lives or dies now by Elvis himself.
Yeah.
and Baz, but Elvis himself. So if we want to see this, if we want to see more, this is our moment to prove that there is a market for this. Because if we prove that there's a market for this, and then yeah, that movie also had Tom Hanks. Yeah, you're right, Tom. Hey, is that Tom Hanks? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Tom. If we can prove that this has that there is a market for this, and if we can prove there is enough of a market for this, they will show us more. Especially if then we, as Elvis fans, have a united front of saying, "Hey, we all are going out and supporting this thing. Look at the numbers that it did. This is what we would really like. This is what we would really like next." And it can't be everything.
No.
It's got to be. We have to be strategic about this. If we're strategic about this, there's a chance that we do have a chance to this.
I want to piggyback on this and say that if you show that films about Elvis with new footage are economically viable and something that they can make money on, and they're already thinking about pursuing other footage that is in private hands, there's a lot of stuff out there that can come out that you guys have never seen that will blow your mind. Yep. And matter of fact,
some of it.
I saw some of it at Elvis Week.
John and I saw something in it.
Yeah, Paul was there. Yeah, so like there's stuff out there, guys. You just gotta support the product. I know. Like we went through this back in the '90s with the Essential Elvis stuff. We knew there was more out there. We didn't like buying a box set if it only had a few new things. But guess what? Enough people bought that now we've got complete sessions coming out.
Yeah, well. Complete sessions. We'll get.
Well, the second or the next project after this, I mean, I'll be happy just to settle for the full Hampton Roads concert.
Oh, that's absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Scouser, Baz wants us to vote on the People's Choice for TIFF. If somebody can find that link, post that link in the comments section. I'll pin that after we get done. So that way everybody can go and do that, because we all as Elvis fans need to go do that.
Because that's how he won when he first went to TIFF with Strictly Ballroom. That won the People's Choice vote. Oh. So yeah,
cool.
Okay, I want to reply to something that David is saying here. He says the Beatles Get Back by Peter Jackson absolutely tanked at retail in the USA. That is true, and I think the reason is he went too maximalist with it. That was definitely a fan service film. It's got like 6 hours of footage of the Beatles rehearsing. I like the Beatles. That was a lot for me to take in.
I did watch it, but it took, I mean, I don't know how many hours was it? Do you remember? I mean, but I did it over a few nights.
Yeah, it was like 6 hours at least.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, but it was a lot, and that's why you can't do these completist releases for the general public.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. There's a way to do completist. That's smart. There is a way to do it. And now somebody just said Hampton Roads for the 50th. It's 2 years away. I think if we can do this, there's a possibility. And as a matter of fact, I would not be surprised if they aren't looking at that possibility. And not only that, it is an anniversary year for that show. So, they're not just basing. Tall just said, "Why do they base everything on theatrical money when many people don't bother to go to the theater?" You're not wrong.
To make the numbers on this work, you need as many revenue streams as possible. Like streaming revenue just does not pay you what you need. People might purchase physical media still, but that's a very limited audience as well. Mm-hmm. You need as many different revenue streams as possible to get the kind of return on investment that you need. Especially when you've got like 8 to 10 million at least in a film like this.
Yeah. Okay, so here's something to think about. You all know I'm a big Ninja Turtle guy. As a matter of fact, there's Ninja Turtles right there. Hidden amongst all of the Elvis stuff that's on the set here. I just forgot to move it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 1990 film, played in movie theaters at Fathom Events. It was supposed to play for 2 days. It played for 2 weeks because of fan demand for a movie that has been seen. I have 3 copies of it on Blu-ray and whatever, and I'm going to get the 4Ks when they come out. And it was so successful that they think for one of the weeks it might have cracked the top 10 for box office gross. So while it is true that people don't go to the theater in the same numbers that they did before COVID and all this sort of stuff, I think that if Ninja Turtles can do it, we can do it. Like Elvis fans, like I mean, I love the Turtles, but Elvis has got a bigger fan base.
Yeah, but it has to be for this to be successful. It has to be more than just the fan base. It has to be the general population too, big time.
Yes.
Because the fan base is how do I put it? Some of them aren't. They don't part with their money easily. Some, you know what I mean. So they need to get out there, but the general population needs to get out there.
Yeah,
in a big way. In a big way, and I think based on what has come out of TIFF with the reviews, I mean, and there initially you could see some of the sales were for the showings weren't so good, but the first day sold out 1,700 people, and then after the first showing and by word of mouth and reviews and interview, and the rest of the week in Toronto is sold out.
Beautiful.
Everything's sold out.
That's see, and that looks good to distributors too.
It does. Well, and as Bad says the other day in one of his interviews, they've got it as opposed to have one distributor. They've got a few suitors, few distributors, or few people who want to adopt Epic. So they just have to pick who they want to give their baby to, and off we go.
That was a really smart way to handle this too. Baz knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, because this is kind of like, in the movie sphere, this is a little bit of, guerrilla warfare, a little bit, with marketing and everything else, but it's smart because it keeps costs down. What I would like to see is this get wide distribution similar to the Elvis film in 2022. And then if nothing else, I like the idea. I mean, I'd love it if Hampton Roads got a wide release, but even if it did Fathom Events like the Ninja Turtles thing did, and just say, and then just say it's going to be a little bit before we do anything with Blu-ray, and it depends on if people go out and see this, like 1 night only, 2 nights only, whatever kind of thing, and I think it's really important for all of us as fans to support these things. They could take each show, or sometimes they have to amalgamate the shows because they don't have full shows of everything, of course. But like, what I mean about completism in a smart fashion is, if whether it be Fathom Events, John and I would like to produce Elvis movie festivals that would spotlight perhaps some of these different ideas and ways to get more money into the coffers, so that way these things can be done for all of us. But going through all of that, if you spread it out over multiple releases instead of one giant box of everything together, it keeps the fan excitement going. It gets everybody really, and would we all like to one and done it? Yeah, but that's not going to make this pay off. And it cannot be the case of we're happy and they're broke, because then nothing else happens.
Yeah, you're not getting Hampton Roads in that scenario.
Exactly. We really have to be smart about this, and we have to know, like, the waters we're swimming in right now are rare, and we get one bite at this apple. Kind of like FTD. When FTD first started, everybody said, if you don't buy these, they're not going to keep coming. And everybody is a product of their experience. So Elvis fans have learned, rightly or wrongly, Elvis fans have learned that, well, there's enough people out there. It'll get supported and more stuff will happen. We can be discerning about FTD releases, for instance. there are ones that, like, some people don't buy the live shows, some people don't buy the studio stuff, whatever. This is not that scenario. And I understand that why fans would, they take this logic and apply it here. But those two things those are not the same ballpark in this instance. And it's very important that people understand that this is a different realm that we are in, and a bite at the apple we do not often get.
Absolutely. And I will say, like, at very least, if this does really well and Hampton Roads comes out and it does really well, I would like to, at the very, very least, get them to take, I think there's about 60 minutes of the August 12th midnight show. And the entire show is about 78-ish, 76, 78 minutes. It's too much to go on one CD. If they could, like, augment that with the missing pieces from the August 11th midnight show, or the other show where he's wearing the chain, and have like a complete Vegas concert, that would be really cool as well. Or what looks like a complete Vegas
It'd be
concert.
wild. Will just said Hampton is never going to be a general release. Hopefully 2027 will be. I could see Hampton Roads as a Fathom Events release.
All I'm going to say is Baz has been teasing it a lot. That doesn't mean nothing.
He has been, and Jonathan, the editor, said, we know the Holy Grail, the Hampton Roads is a Holy Grail because it is an entire concert from start to finish, and that is not something that is, there aren't bucket loads of that stuff in the Elvis world. So, in this quality, to have Hampton Roads from start to finish is like,
you've got that in a
it
little.
Would be the Holy Grail, like you said.
Yeah. That would be incredible. If if they did that, and then John, if they do like what you were talking about with, could putting together a complete 1970 concert, and like, or not a full concert, but take pieces, do it however they can to give a concert experience from 70. I think that would be phenomenal. And I think that things like the 2022 film, look at all the fans. We have EAP Society paying members who became fans from the 2022 film. This is not small stuff. And this has the potential to do even more because it's actually Elvis. And, so if we all give this, and look, I'm not saying that we can never say anything bad. I'm not saying that we can't have, things that, I wish this or that kind of thing. That's fine. But again, it's not about it. It's very important how we say it, that we do this in such a way that this gets the support that we need to get us to the point of getting more what we want, because doing that lets us get to there, or it gives us the best chance of getting to there. So promotion helps. Exactly right. Impact Film Production. You had another question earlier and I missed it. So if you can retype that for me, I would appreciate that. I'm going to see if I can go back and.
By the way, we are longer than the movie right now.
Yes, we are, and we got about 18 minutes before the live shuts off. So,
I think I have enough battery for that. Yeah, okay, I'm good. I have 22%, unless I plug it in. So,
okay. Does anybody have any questions in the chat? And we'll take questions for the next few minutes. And while we're waiting for questions to come in, I just want to say, don't forget, definitely check out Friday's episode, because John and I are incredibly excited about the massive amount of Elvis history that we're going to have a hand in saving and getting out to fans in ways that will not break the bank for fans. And that was important to everybody in the production.
That's when you're talking to Fred and who?
Fred Hubry and George DeYoung.
Oh yeah, okay, right, of course, yeah. Well, there's a wealth of history just there in those two.
So and what they have been able to amass We're working on putting out in a few different ways, getting out to the fans in a few different ways. This is huge. I cannot. Some of the stuff that I'm gonna let everybody be in suspense until Friday, but do not miss that episode. And I'm gonna make it so it premieres, so that way the link is early, so you can share it.
Okay,
So okay,
I'm going to answer this question. It says, what was the unreleased stuff you saw at Elvis? Like, I'll give you an idea of what's out there. Okay, I'm not going to say a lot about who's got it or where I saw it, but there is about 8 minutes of footage, I would say. Pro shot, I think 35 millimeter, judging from the quality.
Yeah.
Elvis at the 1961 press conference in Memphis before the 61 show. And this includes footage of him with Sam Phillips, and it has sound. This is stuff nobody's ever seen. And there's lots of stuff like that out there that would be great for a documentary, but you show ABG that new Elvis footage pays off, and who knows?
Yep. That's great. Any word on a soundtrack release? Not yet. They would be silly not to do something, but they've been silly before. I don't know. We just have to see. Especially, any release would likely largely be a compilation. So there's that. Why are there no more updates of RAAA Gold Awards? There are many albums that sold well. I think the RAAA has changed their weighting, their weight again on things, on like what physical versus streaming versus everything else. And I mean, just between you, me, and the Fence Post, I think RAAA is a mess. Like they're trying so hard to cater to newer artists that they are just snapping legacy stuff like a twig. And I think they really need to take I've heard the RAAA awards, you have to pay them to update. I don't know anything about that, but met you guys at the Riley Priscilla event at Graceland. Well, I mean, I wasn't there. You mean Paul? Maybe Paul. I wasn't there.
Nope.
I wonder if there's any future fan shot footage overdubbed with sound from the matching show like the Madison Square Garden. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's out there. And we know some of the folks that have it. I have a vision for how some of that could be gotten out to the public in a legal, official, well, I mean, maybe not Graceland official, but official adjacent fashion, that is legal to do. But we're, I think James Burton. Any updates on James Burton? I think he's okay.
Yeah, last I heard he was doing okay.
Yeah. So let's see. Graceland needs a movie theater playing Elvis movies you can pay to see, like the Memphian.
That would be so fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Speaking of like the Memphian, we have a couple ideas.
We're not going to get into that right now.
Any thoughts on Bono helping? Okay, I can get you guys both on this. Any thoughts on Bono helping to promote the movie?
I mean, he's in it briefly with the poem at the end, where he as part of the movie, but promoting the movie, I don't know. What do you think, John?
I think if we're going to go with celebrities to help promote it, we need people who appeal to a younger audience. It would be of more use to get Austin Butler to help promote this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think we can do both.
I mean, I love Bono, but let's be honest, Bono appeals mostly to like Gen X and older people.
So you want to get Sabrina Carpenter and Dua Lipa or something like that, and they can promote the movie.
That would be a dream, honestly.
Okay, Lewis, is the rehearsal track list for Vegas 69 accurate from what for John, from what you've heard?
Okay, I don't know. I can't comment on any of that stuff. Okay, I can't divulge any information about 69 rehearsals.
Yeah, I'm telling y'all right now, we need about 20,000 paying members, and we can go after all kinds of crazy shit like you've never even seen in your life. Any clips available from the film? I mean, we've had some trailers and things, but I mean, they were pretty diligent looking in the theater, from what I understand. Paul, did you see a lot of people like security in the aisles, like looking to make sure that people weren't filming?
They were, and they had a notice on the screen before the movie started, basically saying, don't be stupid and try and film this, because we will catch you and we will throw your ass out the door. Or worse, not quite that, but basically that was it.
Right.
I mean, I had a couple of people had mentioned to me about, oh, did you film the 57 footage? I said, no. Did you film? I said, I didn't film anything. I'm not crazy. I mean, I'm there to
You
enjoy
wanted to
it,
stay there.
and we want, and we want this to get a proper wide release, and pay your money and go put your butt in the seat and enjoy it like a big boy and a big girl.
Right. Let's see. Scouter said Bruno Mars is an Elvis fan. He's a big Elvis fan.
Yep.
I have stories back in the '80s with Bruno Mars. With his,
you guys were competitors back in the day.
Yep. He watched me play Mike Tyson's Punch Out at the Play Choice 10 in something like that. Yeah. 88.
Hey, if Taylor Swift wanted to plug this movie, I would take it. I'm just saying.
Sure.
Whoever wants to plug this movie, I think it'd be really neat to get. I think it'd be really interesting to get even a panel of a lot of the artists, old, young, everything in between, to talk about Elvis as an influence and why they should, why people should go see the movie. I think that would be cool. That way you get, Jack White, everybody, like a bunch. Like, I think that's, I think that's really, really cool. David said it's rare that original 8mm used. Extended footage shot at the closing Vegas engagement was well shot and would look amazing from the original negative. So yeah, chasing down the original negatives is a diligent process too. And I'm glad to see that they're wanting to do that. That is something that we want to get into as well, which is, just got this. I mean, it's not going to blow your mind, but it's pretty cool. But yeah, The Rock. I mean, The Rock, sure. Everybody.
I doubt we're going to get many celebrities helping promote this film, guys.
I don't either.
They're busy. They're busy promoting their own films or their own albums. So
yeah. And also, I want to clarify. Like, I was not trying to insult Gen X and older people. I'm just saying that the people that we need the most help persuading are younger people.
Keep in mind here that I'm 20 years older than. Well, I know I am 20 years older than Jamie. I'm not sure about you, John. Probably
He's
the same.
younger. John's younger than I am.
Oh shit! Really?
John's the baby of the group.
I'm just saying that most people who know of Bono probably also know of Elvis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
If I'm 63, Bono's got to be pushing 70, right? So
I would think so.
I would think so. Yeah.
We've seen enough of Bruce Springsteen and Elvis projects over the years. He's reached everybody he can. Okay.
I love Bruce though. Bruce is there. I've seen Bruce 13 times, and I'd see him 13 more times if he's still touring.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to see him once too. Really, really interesting guy. But Tracy, I think that keeping a page from Elvis's book about how do I just like to keep my political views to myself?
That clip clip's in the movie, Jamie.
Lovely. Lovely. That's, and I think that is smart. I'm not saying that everybody should do that. Kind of like Elvis said, he didn't think everybody should do that, but it's one of those things of, especially given everything that we're in, there being some places where everybody can go, and maybe if they spend enough time together, soaking in Elvis or soaking in something like that, maybe they'll give a little grace to each other and not fling hate to each other, just say that stuff for circles of power. Don't hate your fellow human beings as much as you know. I've never heard anything from the Pearl Harbor show.
Okay, if you're talking footage, there is some. It is not pro shot. It's 8mm footage. It's about 2.5 minutes, I think. It's out there. It's in private hands. You might see it someday. Yeah. Well, Tom, one of the book projects that I'm going to be talking about at some point
is about a lot of different Elvis fans, and they said America is very divided. There's a project I'd like to do called We Agreed on Elvis, and it talks about people from all different walks of life. Fred has mentioned this. Um, people that from every walk of life, and they all love Elvis, and they all show that. And this is when Elvis was alive,
Right.
showing that people from all these walks of life, they're not. It's not a new thing. It's been around forever, but Elvis is a connective tissue because of the music and the heart and just his love for people and everything. I think that that's a great thing to look at, and kind of like the poem that Elvis said before "Walk a Mile in My Shoes," which I'm pretty sure is that in the movie as
Yes,
well.
that is in the
Yeah.
movie before the song. Yeah, it is 100%.
Good.
I would
Good,
also
good.
like to say, just as a general rule, that I think a lot of the American political system works by dividing people, and
Yeah.
it's just nice to like get to know people on an individual basis. You'll find out that we might not be as divided as you think on some things.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, I spend my time in 3 different countries throughout the year. Canada most of the time,
Yep.
France second, and then the USA. And in your state, Jamie, as you know, I am in Des Moines for a month or 2 every year,
Yep.
and I had a conversation with uh, a a Republican guy, a mechanic, when I was down, and we had a great conversation. He had questions on Canada, and I answered the questions. He goes, "Well, that's what I've seen on the news." He says, "I appreciate you getting the straight facts from you." And
Yep.
and I said, we need to talk more across the aisle as opposed to just to people of our own persuasion. And we had a great chat, and
Absolutely.
we were on opposite sides of everything, but it
Right.
was a great conversation, and we shook hands at the end, and
Yeah.
more people need to do that.
And when you
Yeah.
know people as people and don't make assumptions based on whatever party they vote for,
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
that helps everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the biggest thing you have to keep in mind is that if people are kept divided, it's easier to ask them for money.
Yeah.
That's very true. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway,
Are you trying to divide the Elvis fan
okay,
base to get them to support this film? Is that what it is?
no, heck no.
Any more
Okay.
questions there?
Yes. Let's see. I'll never understand Elvis footage in private hands, as surely they would want them mastered and updated to earn a buck or two. Here's what you have to understand.
There's a lot of
is-
personalities in the Elvis world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like mini politics in some cases. But no, here's what you have to understand. In the 80s and the early 90s, there really wasn't a thinking that any of like outtake footage and different things was ever going to be used.
Mhm.
And so it was sitting in vaults, and there were times when somebody would be like, well, we're not doing anything with this. Make us an offer.
Yeah.
And then that's how it left. It left, sometimes it didn't, but a lot of times it left legally through, here's money, I'll take that stuff that you guys aren't going to do anything with. And so over time, these people have spent money and time, they've transferred it, they've whatever, and like, I think that if we can do a little bit of changing mindsets around the way that is seen, that we can kind of work to pulling more of it out. And because you can either see folks as people who've squirreled it away, or you can see it as people who have saved the footage.
Okay,
Because they're in fan hands. I'm not saying that that's the end of the story. I'm saying that if that is a means of convincing them that, hey, conservatorship is important, let's work together so that way you're compensated enough. Like, sometimes you just have to kind of work with folks and its personalities, like John said too. Sorry, go ahead, John.
I saw Marion ask, did the Colonel's estate hold any footage? Now, understand that the Colonel's estate is now owned by EPE. They got everything that was in his collection, including like office furniture. Like, they got everything except a few items that like people who had worked from the Colonel got beforehand, right?
Yeah.
There is some footage in the Colonel's estate, but it's not of Elvis necessarily. I know they've got some footage from the Always Elvis conference that Colonel had after Elvis died, of some of the speakers and stuff like Hal Wallace and things like that. And I just don't think they've found what to do with it yet. So there's some things, but like don't expect anything amazing from there.
There is some unseen footage of the Colonel walking down the hallway in Epic. By the way, there's that clip I've never seen before. And just on the footage note, if anybody out there, if you do want to, like I said, reach out to Baz and his team, Jonathan Redmond, the editor, his Instagram, I can just read it. It's John, like JONREDMONDNYC. That's his handle at Instagram, and is Jonathan Redmond's his name. But again, it's JONREDMONDNYC. If you want to reach out to him, if you have footage, he will talk to you.
That's cool.
And maybe we can, get some stuff that they are looking for from Elvis on tour and from some of the Vegas shows in 1970.
That'd be fantastic.
When do we cut out? In 28 seconds?
It's something like that. At least I think so.
Okay.
It says, it's like a minute. It's like according to this, it says we've been, I don't know what to see.
A minute, an hour and 59.
Maybe it won't stop. I don't know exactly.
Hour and 59 minutes.
Oh yeah, it says
we're about ready to go longer than the Elvis movie with Austin Butler here.
Exactly. Well, I tell you what, we should probably let everybody get going. Just curious. Okay, one of the last questions. Just curious, how much of the footage in That's the Way It Is 2000 edition is repeated in Epic?
Oh well, that's a question I can't answer right now. But if anything is repeated, it is in way better quality in this than it was in the one from 2000.
And when you saw repeated performances, did they tend to use different angles?
In some cases, yes.
Okay, because that's a big thing too. Because don't forget, like just because you've seen the performance, you might not have seen it from that angle too.
Yeah.
So it's another thing to think about as well, because that's important. Because 59 hours means all the different angles. So if you're not, so something to think about. But would be great to have outtakes from the movies too, but editors in those days, some folks kept things, and that's where it ended up in private hands. Like for instance, some of the stuff we've seen from Jailhouse Rock. There are other things, and there have been. Oh, sorry, want to make this point real quick. We know of a collector who went to his studio and tried to put something together for one of Elvis's movies. Had millions of dollars to pay the studio to be able to release this, and the studio said that wasn't enough money. If that doesn't give you a context for the level of water we're in and how rare some of this can be, then And Tracy, you're right. Elvis will look good. Elvis looks good in every angle, especially in 1970, and 72 is basically there too. But okay. Paul, thank you so much for coming on.
A blast.
Thanks for having me, guys. And it was great to see the two of you last month in Memphis as well. So
absolutely,
definitely.
And I'll be back down in Iowa in October, Jamie, for the birth of another grandchild. So maybe I'll see you then if we're not too busy.
No, that would be honest. Just my weekends. Right now, my weekends are basically out. But that would be lovely. It'd be great to see what to film. We'll have to film a few things and just talk, and that'll be great. I'd love it. So very cool. And everybody want to say again, I'm updating the EAP Society website, so you can go to it that way as well. But you can search Paul's Elvis page on YouTube. You can search Paul's Elvis page on Google or any whatever web search service you want to do, and you can see Paul's Elvis page and Candid Central, which he's been running since 1993 and continues on the EAP Society server. And
thank you for that.
Hey, it's our pleasure. And if you're if you come across anybody else that is looking for a home after everything happened, send them our way. We would be happy. Yep. And everybody, yes, please hit the like button, share this video around everyone. Thank you so much. we love every one of you, and I'm gonna tell you something right now. We are dedicated to doing everything that we can to preserve Elvis history in every way that we can, and viewership and sharing the videos and membership and all of these things give us the means to do that and keep it inexpensive for folks. Like this project that we got coming up, you will not believe some of the stuff. Tons and tons, binders of pictures that you've never seen before. And you'll get to see some of these things, and it's going to be in a way that's not going to drain your wallet out. And the only reason and the only way that we're able to do that is through membership and all of these things, because the time and the energy and the funding for restoration and blah, 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 and everything else like that has to come from somewhere. And if everybody pitches in together, we all benefit, and it doesn't cost a whole ton. So we love every one of you, and we're going to do everything we can. I'm reaching out to Baz. We're seeing what we can do there. It's going to be lovely no matter what. And everything that we can think of, we're pushing. And your help means the world to us. So, yeah. All right, everybody. We'll since we're all three, it's the first time the three of us have been able to do this. We'll do this one at a time. So I'll go first. John will go next, and then Paul, you go. All right, everybody. I'm Jamie.
And I'm John.
And I'm Paul.
And this is the Elvis Archival Preservation Society. The whole point of the EAP Society is make sure that Elvis history is not lost to history, including this piece of history that we've recently acquired and more history that you're going to hear about on Friday. Yes, Darren, Atomic Wax. John is really close to monetization, so if we need about 100 folks to go over and subscribe to Atomic Wax to get him over the line. So that way,
got a new episode dropping tomorrow morning. You guys can keep an eye out for it.
All right,
beautiful. And there is a bit of an Elvis relation to that episode too. Now, just so you all know, it's not an Elvis channel. It's about Memphis music, but Elvis, of course, has had a big impact and is a big presence in Memphis music. So there'll be a little bit of that from time to time as things go. But yeah, and we're looking at a lot of different ways to proceed forward. I'm excited to get moving and wait to hear about the Elvis 5.1 things that I've got coming. If you're a member of the EAP Society, I think is it plus on up? Anyway, the VIPs on up at the EAP Society are already hearing 5.1 Elvis as a little teaser test to kind of get their thoughts. So that's going to be exciting. And you all are going to hear more. And yeah, but anyway, thank you all. Paul, thank you so much for talking with us and sharing the information. That is awesome. We are jealous as all hell. And just of the hoodie, I mean, the rest of it's even more.
Well, that's why I didn't wear it tonight. I didn't want you to focus just on the hoodie. So
I appreciate that. So, all right, everybody. Love you all. And we do content on Tuesday. This is, of course, taking the place of our Quick Take Tuesdays. We're going to try to do a live stream once a month. So there'll be a lot of Quick Take Tuesdays, but then also live stream Tuesday. And so we'll be doing that more as the season goes through. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah, so we'll have a bunch more stuff to talk about. So, all right. So we're going to close out for now. Check us out on Friday. Do not miss that. Go see Paul's Elvis page. Go check out John on Atomic Wax. I have a channel called Jack Life, but it's all pop culture, and I haven't even really started it yet. That's going to be later in the month. And thank you all so much once again. Okay, so we'll see you next time. And so be good to yourselves.
Be good to each other.
And always, everybody,
TCB.
TCB. Take care, boys.
Bye,
Great to see you.
See you.